Imagine your arms will meander, but I will wait for you. There's nothing left for me to do but run and act myself a fool. No point in trusting anyone. Your eyes of diamonds keep me up. Never thought that it could be this rough. No point in trusting anyone.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back. Sorry for a little bit of the delay. I was doing a little bit of the last minute production things. As you all know, I am back. Unfortunately, we did not have the EDL stream on Friday. It was just kind of unlucky. I was gone. Clutch was gone. And Matt Pizza was kind of on his own. He was supposed to run the stream. And he didn't get his chance to shine, Matt Pizza. I'm sure you're really excited after like my 4-hour boot camp with you.
Oh yeah, really. I was really sad that I couldn't put all the knowledge you passed on to me and shoved into me to work.
That's not the best way to put it, but okay. So, I mean, here we are, EGL. We are in the first week of playoffs. It has been a long, long season, a full 7 weeks of the regular season. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to 2 teams, and now we are left with 6. So, obviously, we have a double elimination bracket, so we're looking at two, um, you know, two brackets. There's the winners bracket and the losers bracket, and we're in the first week of that. So winners bracket goes first, and then I'll show you guys the graphic in a second. But Clutch, you were also on vacation really quickly. So, how was your boat? How was the
Yeah,
so what do you want to
we
say to the viewers?
uh you know, boats are fun, guys, okay? Being on the water's fun. That's what I'll say. Go swimming. Go do something in the water.
Go do something in the water. I like that. So, first things first, I know why everyone is here. Everyone wants to see the all-star reveal. So we're just gonna, unveil, drum roll please. Clutch, Matt Pizza.
Oh,
That was a
oh my
horrible
god.
sound. Oh my god. Here we go. Yay, EGL All Stars. I made this like really, really quickly. I came back home from work and I was like, oh no, I have to make the graphic now. So, I'm just going to, do a little bit of movie magic if you guys want to see. Number one, All Stars on the left. Number two, All Stars on the right. Obviously, we have the Rune Mage from Hyperion Origin, Fire Lord Zuko, Chitin Counters, and Islamic Samurai on the number one All Stars team. And number two, we have Altazi, All Fire 26, Dracona, James Moriarty, and Low 5 Foot Fetish. So, congrats to all these players. Sorry I had to rush the graphic a little bit, but yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're not doing a game this time around. I mean, I think all the staff we talked about it a little bit that it was just kind of like I mean, it was a little too for fun, too for fun. So, you guys get a role, I believe, and then it gets posted into the All Stars kind of Hall of Fame thing, and I think that's about it. Unless there's something else that you guys get, Clutch.
No, they get a roll and they get to be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, yay! You guys get like a pat on the back. Yay.
Yay!
Yay. Woo! That was yay. Yeah, so I mean, I think it was a really close vote for a whole bunch of these. I think even between the staff, we had to do a bunch of tiebreakers. So, I think it was a really close vote between yeah, people in the Twitch chat are saying it. Rip Attila. I do think Attila was a good player too, but congrats to counters, James Moriarty in the ADC role. But yeah, I mean, Clutch, did you have anything you wanted to say about the All Stars or any of these players specifically? Since today we're going to be watching
Uh,
VBU Flippa, so
yeah.
Chitin, Islamic, Allfire from these three players we're going to be seeing.
Um, I kind of just want to shine some light on counters and Altazi. Um, you know, 8 out of the 10 of these players are on the top 3 teams in the league, basically, like top 3, top 4. Not counting Flippa. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Counters and Altazi for making All Stars despite not being on one of the best teams in the league. It's very impressive. So shout out to them. Otherwise, I think everyone here is extremely good and extremely talented. And there's definitely a lot more players that aren't on here that are also extremely talented, and I think deserve to get some recognition.
Yeah, like you
So
said, I mean, there are no Flippa players I'm thinking on this, All Stars graphic here, and Flippa has been doing really well towards the end of the season. Obviously, they are in playoffs now. They're in the winners bracket, so big shout out to their whole team too. And I think, yeah, I mean, it's a big community vote. So if you guys have any issues with it, don't yell at me. I just copy paste the names. So, Matt Pizza, any other comments on the All Stars before we move on?
Um, all of these players are really good, and in all honesty, my eyes are always on like VBU because I play for VBU. I'm roped into it. Their fate is my fate, unfortunately nowadays. So it's so good to see three VBU players make the All Stars team, and hopefully they don't sprint it in the games tonight.
Hopefully, they don't sprint it in the games tonight. Well, thank you for that good insight, Matt Pizza. Good talk. Okay, so one more thing. We're gonna look at the playoffs bracket one more time. So today, obviously, we have two matches going on. We have Hyperion Origin versus Abyssal Sapphire, and VBU Krypton versus Flippa United. So unfortunately, there's only one me. I can only stream one game at a time. So there is the series we're gonna be looking at is VBU Krypton versus Flippa United. Um, Honestly, I'm not the one who picked the series, so Clutch. What made you pick VBU Flippo series versus Hyperion and Abyssal?
2 versus 3 over 1 versus 1, or 1 versus 4.
True.
That's why. That's literally the only reason. I'm not even joking. I just chose to choose the second versus third because I thought it'd be a lot more explosive. Like, we'll talk about a little bit more later, but I think Hyperion and Abyss will take it a little bit slower. In a more calculated team, I think VBU and Flippa are very aggressive and like to get things done in the early game. So I think VBU Flippa is the more entertaining game to watch, not necessarily the better one. But as a viewer, if you just want to see people smack each other for 10 minutes, then I mean, there you go.
True. Flippa and VBU, I do think, like you said, two explosive teams. I mean, a lot of potential to see a lot of action. I'm gonna have fun, like trying to keep up with the camera and like just miss like 20 kills, so that's gonna be fun. But yeah, obviously double elimination bracket. The loser between Hyperion Abyssal goes against Monkeys Rising. I'm lying. It's against Hawkthorn. I can't read my own graphic. And the loser of the streamed match is VBU. So the loser of between VBU and Flippa will go against Monkeys Rising. So it's gonna be really interesting to me actually if VBU loses this week and they go against Monkeys Rising, because that's kind of like a small kind of rematch, right? Because VBU obviously they didn't have Chitin. They had some role swaps the other week as well, and then I don't know. I think they're just trying stuff out because they were locked into the second seed already, and then Monkeys Rising actually pulled ahead 2-1 despite kind of having a rougher mid to late season. So I think that'd be really interesting to kind of see that rematch between VBU like at their, I mean, playing with the roster that had gotten them to the second seed. So I mean, it would be nice to watch the Hyperion Abyssal Sapphire Series 2. So if someone is streaming it, in community streams or something, maybe let me know. I will, I'll take a look. So, Matt Pizza, he's here. Hello.
hmm
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Matt Pizza. My one question for you then regarding playoffs.
hmm
So, what do you think would be ideal for, the losers bracket? So you see Monkeys Rising and Hawkthorn. So Hawkthorn obviously has to go against either the first seed or the fourth seed, depending on who loses that match. And Monkeys Rising has to go against the second or the third seed that loses between VBU and Flippa. So
hmm
how likely do you think, and this is a really like hot take. I'm asking because we don't have, we can't predict these series because they're, not there yet. But Matt Pizza, my question for you then becomes, how likely do you think it would be for Monkeys Rising and or Hawkthorn Esports to make it even to round 3 or finals?
I think okay. I'm so I think it was week 7 when we saw Packapul's jungle gym workout, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. The jungle gym. I liked
the
it.
jungle gym. All right. And I think if Packapul is like still like forcing them into the jungle gym, if there's like scrimming and if they're still like refining their strategies, right? I think MKR has a high chance to make it to round 3. I think if VBU loses in match 2, I think they have a high chance. But if Flippo loses, I think they have a less of a chance to make it. I think Flippo's bot lane will like just their bot lane is slightly better than MKR's, and I think their mid all will also be more impactful than Chinese Spy on these mages that we've seen. And so, in all honesty, if it's Flippo versus MKR, then I think MKR is like I don't think I'm not gonna say they don't have a chance. They obviously still do have a chance, but I don't think it's favored for them. But if it's
Mhm.
VV versus MKR, I do think that they do have a higher chance of making it to round 3, and potentially making the miracle run that we all love to see.
True, the miracle run. I think Monkeys Rising has been a team that's kind of been swimming against the current the whole season, obviously. Like we mentioned many times before, you're a silver team that's going against like gold teams or people that have had a lot more experience playing in gold already. And you're just like in playoffs, right? And like you said, Matt Pizza, it's possible that miracle run is it's there. I don't know how big the chance is. I'm not gonna drop any numbers because I'm gonna get flamed for them. But the chance is there. So, Clutch, then, my question to you regarding playoffs is I know you're a Hawkthorn esports fan, and you just told them to have fun last week. So, how much fun do you think Hawkthorn will have starting, at the bottom of the losers bracket, probably going against, maybe I don't even know who they're going to go against, but Clutch, what are your thoughts on that then?
I can't say it's TOS.
Oh, it's TOS.
Oh
Uh oh,
no.
TOS. Okay, just beep, like beep out the bad words.
Yeah, so I'll just cut out when I push to talk. So I will just So Hawkthorn Esports, I think they have a really really good chance. They're gonna go again up against the possibly one of the best teams in the league. And they're probably going to get absolutely on Summoner's Rift.
Oh
But I
no.
think they can do it. I think they can do it.
Just be okay. Well, yeah, I mean like a double elimination bracket obviously does favor the higher seeds, but then we'll move on. We're kind of in a weird spot this week with the pregame show. I had like no time to prepare anything. I made all of these graphics like last week on Wednesday, so please don't flame. So we're gonna look, we're gonna get back into the groove of everything. We're back at last week. So obviously we had Hyperion Origin versus Hawkthorn Esports 2-0 for Hyperion. Finished off their season really strong. Obviously they dropped 1 week, but Hyperion's still here saying like, hey, we're still a good team. Here's a 2-0. And then BDE versus Flippa. This was the streamed match that everyone voted for. And I think that Flippa did really well this series. It was 2-0 for them. And I mean, I don't want to say it was an upset. I don't think it was a huge upset by either team if I saw either one. I think it was mostly because it was kind of the fight for fourth seed. And then obviously VBU versus Monkeys Rising, 2-1 for Monkeys Rising. I think that was a really good series. I was able to watch, I think, like half of the second game and then all of the third game. Very close series. I mean, Monkeys Rising played really well. Obviously, they won. And VBU, I mean, tried out some different roster changes and did a little bit of the mix up. But, still a really big win for Monkeys Rising. And then we had Abyssal Sapphire versus Revolution Esports. So I think I also watched Clutch, you were there too. I don't remember which game we
Hmm?
started. Was it the second game? Like the end of the second game?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had like this big watch party. I was trying to watch like both the series at once. So I might be mixing up what happened. I think Revolution won the second game and then lost the third game? I would need someone to like double check that for me.
Let me double check that for you real quick.
This guy
Yeah,
is Hacker Man.
they they lost the second game and won the first and third game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I remember how the last game of the Abyssal game ended. There was someone punching the Nexus at the very end, and it was kind of sad. I got really hyped, but it was a good series, I think. If I'm remembering correctly, there was a lot that happened in the last week. But back at the beginning, Hyperion Origin versus Hawkthorn Esports. Clutch, if I remember correctly, you voted Hyperion 2-1. So you said, if I'm remembering correctly, so you said Hawkthorn was just gonna have fun. And then they find themselves like blowing up the enemy Nexus in one game.
Yeah, I mean they did have fun. They lost.
Oh,
When you have fun, you lose.
that's
Just
true.
how it is, you know.
That
They had
is
too
true.
much fun.
Oh,
No, I mean, guys, I'm gonna be honest. Like, come on, it's Hyperion versus Hawkthorn. Like, you're putting David versus Goliath. Come on now. Like, Hawkthorn has a very small chance of winning, and the fact that Hyperion 2-0, I don't think really shocks anyone. And Hawkthorn in playoffs, they got to find something because they might play Hyperion again if Hyperion loses. They might play them again. And I don't think they want to get 2-0 again. So
maybe
yeah,
they just want to have more fun, you know?
we have more fun, get 3-0 in a best of 3.
Yeah. They have so much fun they don't realize they lose a game, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean overall it's a very like you said, Clutch. Like this rematch could happen if Abyssal is able to beat Hyperion this week and tonight. So I think it'd be interesting to see because I don't know if Hawkthorn, like you said, wants to like just have fun or I guess it really depends like what kind of mindset they come into the series. Like they were doing really well. They were in playoffs at least. Like you can still make it to finals from the losers bracket, right? Just because you're in the losers bracket doesn't mean you're out. So it's a very possible thing. Obviously, Hyperion is coming in as like the strongest team from the whole season. And it's kind of scary. Maybe, like you said, Clutch. Maybe they just want to have for fun, like a for fun series. But I don't know. I don't really have much else to add to that. But Matt Pizza, you also said 2-1 for Hyperion last week. What were your thoughts then? Why did you think Hyperion was gonna drop a game to Hawkthorn?
Well, I mean, like, so early on in EGL, we were like, oh, Hawkton versus Hyperion, that's gonna be the match to watch because, like, at the time, right, Hawkton was like 2-0. They were showing a lot of promise for a gold team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so going into the predictions last week, right? I was just like, okay, we see Hyperion is like the best team in EGL, right? Just looking at like they've practically won to all the teams aside from BDE. And I honestly thought like Hawkton like one game, right? Everything just aligned. They were able to bring back week one, week two Hawkton and just boom boom take out Hyperion, knock off a game, take a game off of these like almost undefeated giants. But but like looking at it as a whole series, I don't think Hyperion like really stood a chance against Hyperion Origin or Hyperion
The
Shadow Origin.
Hawkthorn didn't stand a chance.
He
Yeah.
doesn't know what he's
Yeah.
talking about.
It's okay. They both start with H's. It's like the same
Yeah,
thing. Yeah, yeah.
true.
One thing I want to point out from the Hyperion draft, I liked the Shen pick. We picked Shen early, and then we put at support. One time I went against a Shen one trick, like a Shen support one trick and ranked, and then they just kind of ran it. So, I'm not a huge fan of the pick myself, but I do like that they were able to flex it. So, I mean, Hyperion, I think they still have like more tricks like this up their sleeve. Maybe they don't. Maybe I'm just capping. But like going into playoffs, I assume that most teams are looking to find at least one more avenue to help them win. Because like you're in playoffs, everyone has seen you play the whole season, everyone's played against you at least once, right? So then, by now you would think that other teams would have kind of recognized your strategy, or like kind of seen like, who you always play around and who you're always dedicating your resources to. So it really depends, because like I said before, we're at that point in the season, we're in playoffs. Like, you can try and bring back the things that you're doing that were doing well and bringing you wins, but at the end of the day, if people know how to neutralize your carries, if they know how to stop the bleeding, or they know how to just like play against your best strategy, then you're just kind of screwed for the rest of playoffs. So it's really interesting to me, like, to see what, Hawthorne and Hyperion are going to do. Because I think both of these teams have evolved a lot from the beginning of the season. I think they both, have developed. And, I mean, there's not much left to say, honestly, on this series. But it'll be exciting to see. It'll be exciting to see if there is a rematch. So, Big Duck Entourage versus Flippa United. Obviously, this is our stream match of the week. Matt Pizza, I'm pretty sure you watched, right?
I believe so.
Oh, we
No, no,
had
I do remember.
Patrickal and Colonel back.
It was it was Parker and Colonel casting. How could I not watch?
True.
No, that's not to say that, like, I don't know, when Cole casts, sometimes I might, like, maybe mute it, but let's not talk about that.
So, Matt Pizza, last week you said 2-1 for Flippa United. You and I, we were on the Flippa train. We believed in them. So, what
Hmm.
do you think then? What was the biggest reason they won that series? If you'd watched the stream.
Um, I think that, like, we've always talked about Flip as bot lane, and I just kind of have to reiterate it again. Like, Vanquish, Rift 60, and Spheric just, like, absolutely smurfing it into bot lane. Like, these two have some. Their Caitlyn Morgana is the scariest thing I've seen. Not gonna lie. Like, the amount of synergy these two have on such a, like, oppressive pick is, like, it's so disgusting. And we saw them play that in game one, and they came out of lane. Riv came out of lane 405, like, or not. He didn't come out of lane, but he ended the game 405, and, like, just so much gold on the Caitlyn and so much damage coming in from Riv.
Yeah.
And mhm.
No, no, it's okay. Continue your point.
And, like, I just think there's solo laners, right? Ridley Prime. He played the Shen. He played, I'm a Shen player as well. And when I saw Ridley pick Shen, I was just like, okay, this might be a really, like, one-sided matchup, because Shen into Kale, it's not a fun time for Shen post 6. But I mean, Shen just basically did his best support impression, going 007, and, like, doing what the team needed, right? He just survived lane and it's just like, okay, just gotta keep Riv alive, and he did just that.
Yeah, and like you said, like Riv 60 Spheric, I think were one of the biggest reasons why Flippo was able to do so well in that series, because the first game, BDE, B1, B2, Ezreal, Soraka. Like, you're looking to just play safe that whole lane, right? You're Ezreal, you just want to scale. You're Soraka, you like, as long as you don't get dumpstered in lane, you just press W, you just press R, and you're chilling. Like, like you said, Matt Pizza, the Caitlyn Morgana picks were, I think, like a really big reason as to why they were able to do so well that game. And then the next game too, they were playing Kai'Sa Leona, and it's like, you pick Kai'Sa, you're telling the enemy team like, we want to pick dive, like we want to play aggressive. And Leona was a really great pick with it, sorry, as well, because like, Spheric had Hex Flash, and Men was just like on cooldown, pressing Hex Flash, and Revan was like playing Lucian. He was trying to dash away from like the Hex Flash Zenith Blades, and it was very entertaining to watch, just like over and over again, like Spheric just like Hex Flashing out of bushes left and right. But like you said again, Matt Pizza, it was this ball lane I think has been playing so much better, I feel, than the league has really recognized, or other teams have really, like, they've been quietly just making a name for themselves. And
Mhm.
just like, not to mention the rest of their team too. I think Corrido was Corrido a e-sub? I'm trying to remember. Or was he just a
I
sub?
believe he was added to the rosters.
Okay. Yeah, Corrido I think was a big reason as well. Like, against Ave. Everyone kept talking about Ave playing Irelia mid in the first game. He neutralized Ave really, really well. So, I mean, that was really big from Corrido. But, that whole series, I think, was played really well by both teams. But, yeah, Flippa did get the 2-0. So, then last but not least, Clutch, you said 2-1 for I'm reading wrong, for BDE last week.
Yep.
So then what made you think that like BDE, excuse me, would be able to win?
Well, they beat Hyperion the week before 2-0, so I assumed that okay, well Hyperion's probably better than Flippa, so this should be easier. And then they didn't have their starting jungler, which clearly BDE
Yeah.
without their starting jungler just looked not the same team. Without JJ, they just didn't look like the same team. Like, not saying that the junglers they brought in were bad, but like you could clearly see there was a disconnect between the players of like what to do because they just had to bring in someone that really hasn't played with the team. On top
Mhm.
of that, I also think they had some interesting picks that were kind of like pocket picks, but they were brought out at situations they shouldn't have been picked, kind of thing. And like it just ended up screwing them over in the end. Like those were the two main factors of why I think I lost. Flippa, I think their bot lane played insanely well, and Flippa is honestly coming into playoffs pretty damn scary. Like I would be scared if I'm playing Flippa. They are the hottest out of the top 4 teams right now. Like I think they in these past couple of weeks, the BFE buff, they have just looked absolutely insane. So I would be scared. If you're Hyperion Abyssal, you just hope VBU takes them out for you.
True. Just hope BB takes them out for you. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, BDE not in the playoffs, but I think that BDE like they finally had something going. Like they were able to beat Hyperion, which was huge. That was a huge upset, I think. And it's kind of sad for them to, just not be in playoffs at all after being able to beat, like the top team in the league. So, I think BDE despite their, like roster issues at the beginning, like once they had something that settled, it settled really well. So, I mean, unfortunate, but that is how it is sometimes. So next we will look at VBU Krypton versus Monkeys Rising. Obviously, like I mentioned before, VBU didn't have their starting top laner. They mixed jungle ADC a little bit. They were just kind of playing around since they were already locked into the second seed. So, Matt Pizza, let me double check. I'm pretty sure you said VBU last week. Yeah, you said VBU 2-0, even though you knew Kyton wasn't going to be there.
Yeah, I didn't expect the Packer factor to come in. Not gonna lie. Um, the freaking like whatever he's been doing with his players in the jungle gym, it's working really well. And I mean, granted, this iteration of Krypton is like they don't have their starting top laner, they don't have their like carry mid, so it's like it's a slightly different version of Krypton, and it's definitely a weaker version of Krypton. But nonetheless, they were still able to like beat them in a best of 3, right? Like Monkeys Rising came out on top of a 3-game series, and to me that's just impressive, right? Like these players who we've always considered as like, yeah, they're straight out of IPS, they're going against gold players and like coming out on top. Now, granted, Krypton was trying out things, trying out players, trying out a bunch of different like tech that they wanted to see before playoffs. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt, but I do think it's a huge accomplishment for MKR. And I was really surprised, I won't lie, that Krypton did manage to lose to MKR, but huge accomplishment for MKR nonetheless.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, we kind of had the belief going. It was Sultan and I who both believed in Monkeys Rising. I know Sultan talked about it a little bit last week. Like he just, he was like, "Nah, I just know that like this is their week." And I'm under that same impression that Monkeys Rising is a lot better than, their record shows. They ended 3-4 in the season, but despite that, I think that the team has been doing a lot better than, like than 3 and 4 really entails. But Clutch, you also said 2-0 for VBU last week. You also knew that Chitin wasn't going to be playing.
Yeah, I did. I thought VBU would win pretty easily, but they need to go back to the drawing board. Think about what went wrong. They're going to have Chitin. They're going to be playing an intense series against Flippa United today. And they really, really need to win that series. I think Monkeys Rising also they are doing very, very well for themselves in this league. They're a very solid team. I wouldn't be surprised if Hyperion or Abyssal obviously drop down and play them they play VB or Flippa. If VB or Flippa drop down and end up dropping a game to Monkeys Rising, because Monkeys Rising seem like from behind they know how to come back and they don't just instantly give away the game. They know how to play from behind, and it's been a great story for Monkeys Rising. I mean, I didn't think they would make playoffs. I thought they'd be like 7th or 8th, honestly. But they've looked pretty good. They beat VBU. That's very big. They might play them again. We'll see how that's going to go. But yeah, I mean, Monkeys Rising, great job last week, and now they just await either VBU or Flippa next week.
Yeah, and like the thing we all mentioned before, just Monkeys Rising being a lot better than, we all thought going into the season. And like, obviously, we're here, they're in playoffs. So I think they're like the team to watch in the losers bracket. So it'll be interesting to see. Maybe they make that miracle run. Maybe, okay, hear me out. This is a hot take. If you look at MR, right? Just remove the K. Most people refer to them as MR. I just use the K so I can have 3 letters. So MR, instead of Monkeys Rising, it actually stands for Miracle Run.
There it is.
I think I've cracked the code actually. Where's Packapal? Hello?
Yeah, that's GG actually. They win the league. Just end it now.
So, I'm DMing Packapal. I figured it out. I cracked the code.
Yeah.
Monkeys Rising, Miracle Run. It's, oh my god. You know that song that's like, in the the X-Files song?
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. That's it right
I
there.
do.
No,
Maybe some
Zell,
people
I
don't.
said remove the K. It's MR. Miracle Run.
Oh my God,
I hear
Zell.
the X-Files song in my head. Okay, so last but not least, we have Abyssal Sapphire versus Revolution Gold, and I think this is a little sad for Revolution. This was the series they had to win to have a chance at playoffs. I don't remember what the exact scenario was for them to make playoffs. Clutch, do you remember?
If they won, they were in.
Okay.
Basically at that point, because Hawthorne, BDE, I think that's it. All had 2 wins.
Mhm.
No, yeah. So if they won, they were in. They were going to make playoffs. So, and I think they would have been 4th, actually,
How would
4th
that
or
have
5th.
panned out? I'm like,
They
I
would have
don't know
gotten
the
4th or
exact.
5th because they have head-to-head over Abyssal or something.
Oh.
Because they beat them and they would have the same record. But that didn't happen. So unfortunate.
Yeah, I think this was a really big series. I know everyone was talking about like BDE Flippa, Hyperion, Hawkthorn, but like I think this was another series I really would have wanted to watch because of how close that Revolution was to, like you said, Clutch, to playoffs. And I think Revolution was a team that had a lot of potential on paper. And I just smacked my desk. Now my elbow is sad. But Abyssal was a team, not Abyssal. Sorry, Revolution was a team that I think on paper was really good. They had a lot of players and we saw a lot of talent throughout the season. I know that Revolution, if I remember correctly, they beat Flippa week 1, I think. Or was that because Flippa adopted the 0-1 record? Or was Flippa playing already?
Pretty sure Flippo was playing already. No teams dropped in EGL.
Wow, this is what happens when you try to think of games from a month and a half ago. Let me look at this again. They did lose to Hawkthorn, so they wouldn't have had the head-to-head against them. They did beat BDE week 3. and then they lost to Hyperion, and then they lost to VBU, and then they lost to Monkeys Rising, and then yeah. So just from me like looking at their season record, then you know Revolution I think obviously had a very strong start to the season, and then it just kind of like went downhill. I feel like they just had a lot of good talent, but it just didn't really develop like the way that they wanted it to. And just seeing them on stream the couple times that we did, like especially week 5, week 6, it was a lot of just like they were just kind of like Clutch said before, when you fall behind, you have to like cut your losses or know how to come back. If you just keep giving things and keep, just saying like, okay, we lost this fight, then what do you do going into the next fight, right? Um it was I'm trying to remember. I think there was also the R5 Soraka pick. That was I'm remembering that. That was good times. Clutch, I think you really enjoyed that pick.
What? The Soraka?
The R5 Soraka.
We don't talk about that.
What?
That's like curse files, actually.
Okay. But yeah, like I mean, I think Revolution would have had a really good chance, if they won. I just want to say like if Revolution made it to playoffs, maybe they had the miracle run instead of Monkeys Rising. But overall, I think it was a good season from them regardless. But Abyssal on the other hand, um I think Abyssal was also like a really strong team that we didn't, acknowledge a lot despite them being able to like pull so many good wins. Like they ended 4-3 in this season, and I feel like they're better than their record. 4-3. Like it's so hard because you can end the season 3-4, 4-3, but you can probably be like a lot better or worse than your record really says. So Abyssal, I'm pretty sure their 4 wins were against. It was BDE week 1, and then Hawthorne week 4, Monkeys Rising week 5, and then this week, when they went against Rev. So I think Abyssal Sapphire are a very good like middle, like high tier team, and like going into playoffs. I just want to see like that one thing I mentioned before, being able to push yourself just a little bit further, right? To see how far you can get into playoffs. Right now, I don't know how they're gonna play against Hyperion. Like it just depends on a lot, right? So Matt Pizza, I have a question for you then.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Pizza. So Abyssal Sapphire's top laner, Golem 24, and the Rune Mage. So obviously the Rune Mage was an all-star player, and Golem 24 is not an all-star player. That's just by community vote. I'm not being toxic.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
my question to you then, Matt Pizza, is that for this matchup, what do you think is going to be important for Golem 24?
I think if Golem 24 is looking to pick like a scaling tank, let's say, right? Like he's looking to pick Ornn, he's looking to pick Cho'Gath. He needs to make sure that the Aurelia from Rune Mage is banned. Because the last thing an Ornn or a Cho'Gath wants to play against is this mobile bruiser that like can just basically one-shot you no matter how tank you are. Like she's just dancing around, dodging your abilities, and then she just comes in, autos you, and you're just dead. So for Golem 24 to have success in this matchup, in this matchup, then he just needs to be really careful, right? Like uh if the Aurelia is open and they like don't respect it enough to ban it, right? Then Golem 24 will most likely like fall behind, right? Because it is the Rune Mage's special. We see him like to play the Aurelia, and he's always been ahead under the Aurelia. I believe there was one game when he did manage to lose. I think it was into a Mordekaiser, so I'm not entirely sure. I think it was in like week 5 or week 7. So don't quote me on that. But overall, the Rune Mage's Aurelia is really scary and most definitely needs to be addressed one way or another, whether it's a ban or it's some spicy pick that Golem 24 may have in the works.
So then, okay, I agree with what you're saying. So then with that, we will transition into our predictions. So Matt Pizza, you are the Hyperion Origin fan for this week, and you just went and like, tooted Rune Mage's horn. So for this 2-0 you predicted for Hyperion Origin, do you think it's just gonna come down to Rune Mage diff, or do you think it's gonna be something else?
Okay. As much as I want to be like, yeah, it's just a top lane gap. It's like no, like top lane, it's only a part of it. Like no matter how ahead you can get on top lane, it's still a team game, and you still like
What? I'm
need to have.
remembering that solo queue game. You went Camille and you made your opponent rage quit. That was like
Okay, but that's different. That's different. When you make someone rage quit as a top lane, that is probably the best feeling ever. I think it was a Callista. She was
yeah,
one in
yeah, yeah.
six,
They were
and
like masters or something in like season 10
yeah, they definitely got
or
boosted.
9 or
But
10. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, they definitely got boosted. It does skill gap for
listen,
sure.
they're not a part of the EL family, so of course I'm gonna
Mhm.
flame them.
So
But
then with that then
mhm.
Matt Pizza. So if okay, so if you're saying that Rune Mage, so you're saying that Rune Mage can't carry Hyperion Origin.
I like Rumage will like I think if Rumage gets any of his like pocket picks, any of his like comfort picks, right?
Mhm.
I think Rumage is in a good spot, but he needs to turn his lead into a team lead, right? Like he
Mhm.
needs to be able to get the carries, so the Attila, Dracana ahead as well, because that way you have like even if you screw up, you still have other people that you can rely on because you're ahead, but you turn your lead into their lead as well. And
Right.
it's a team game, yeah. So all in all, I'm gonna like like you said, I'm saying 2-0 Hyperion Gaming. I like the Rune Mage. I love seeing his ability. I love seeing him queue around the minions and like do his thing. I love seeing
Aren't they
Drakata
making
just
changes to Irelia?
yeah, they're like nerfing high elo Aurelia while like making low elo Aurelia better. So it's
Unlucky.
uh it's a sad nerf overall, but you
Okay,
know
so then with that, on the other side of the bracket, Clutch and I, we're both on the Abyssal train. Same 2-1 prediction. So Clutch, we'll start with you. You said 2-1 Abyssal. And as far as I remember, you've been a pretty big Abyssal fan for the last couple of weeks.
Hmm. Yeah. So this matchup, there's obviously you can go down the list, look at every single matchup, analyze it, break it down, all that kind of stuff. But obviously, we do not have the time to do all of that. So we're going to look at two. Now, if you've read my content, you read what I said, it's basically the same thing. I'm just repeating it. Big matchup, mid lane. Dracana versus the Fire of the Fox. Both of these players are equal in skill, in my opinion. They're both super talented. They're both insane, superstar franchise players. Both of these guys can 1v9 a game if given the resources. So what I want to see is which one of these players is going to get counterpicked, because obviously one of them is going to get counter and one of them isn't, right? Like that's just the nature of how it's going to go. And counterpick in the mid lane is going to be like do or die, I think, in this series. It's going to be very, very important. Both these teams heavily rely on their mid lanes. I think Hyperion relies a little bit more on Dracana than Abyssal. However, I still think that Dracana is absolutely insane. Firefox, insane. So that's one matchup I want to look at. Second one, instead of talking about top lane, I want to talk about the supports because we never talk about the
Ooh,
supports. Low
true.
key. Like we actually never do. So we've got on one side, Lo-Fi Foot Fetish, an all-star. I think this guy is extremely underrated. I think he is a very good player. And he really excels at these engaged type of supports that we've seen him on a lot. Likes the Alistar, other champions like that. He is a playmaker. He does not like sitting around and waiting for things to happen. On the other side, you have Mew Life, who Mew Life is more of a neutralizing support, right? He likes to go against these carries and try to neutralize them. He isn't really the 1v9 playmaker. He isn't like the going for the flashy plays like Lo-Fi Foot Fetish would go for. He's this other type of support. And I think that is going to be a very important matchup because if Lo-Fi Foot Fetish can find advantages, it's going to be a disaster for Abyssal. This guy will just absolutely be running around. He'll be in the Fire of the Fox's lane the entire game, and he'll be just wanting to die. But if Mew Life can neutralize Lo-Fi Foot Fetish, that is a big part of Hyperion Gaming's plan gone because they do like enabling Dracana, and that does come from jungle support. You take one of those out, well, now it's a lot easier. So I think reason why I said 2-1, I think Abyssal have the tools of what it takes to neutralize Dracana. However, I think this matchup is extremely close, which is why I said 3 games. Easily could see it going either way.
Yeah, and I'm in that same boat as you. 2-1 Abyssal because, I always see the logo and I just end up dragging my name to the side wherever their logo is. But like you said, Clutch, there is so much support for a lot of these carry players on both sides of the team, like both sides of this matchup because like Matt Pizza even said, Rune Mage and like Dracana and like Attila, like these are 3 huge carry players that we've seen pop off many times. And obviously they're backed up by their jungler Zuko and their support Lo-Fi. And it really does come down to like what kind of support are we seeing? Like who can neutralize who can like enable who. And like you said, Abyssal Sapphire, obviously like James Moriarty, we've talked about them all season. Big carry player. Same with Fire of the Fox. But then my kind of, I guess, like my problem or my prediction lies in the fact that I've seen Golem 24 play a lot of like, I don't remember which week it was. It may have been week 1. They played Malphite, got this like huge like 3-man knock up in the pixel bush and bought River for a dragon fight, and they just won the whole fight, and that snowballed the game. Like that's one tiny play from a player that was playing Malphite. I think they were playing like full tank Malphite or something, right? And like you said too, Abyssal Mule Life and like Darkstar, all these supportive players, I've seen them pop off too. So like I feel like Abyssal has a lot of these more flexible avenues going into this series. Obviously, Hyperion is very, very good at what they do. It's very easy to see that because they're 6-1 in this season, and they just been like 2-0ing people left and right. But like you said, Clutch, this series really comes down to like the smallest things. It's 2-1 for somebody, or Matt Pizza's on something and like he's a 2-0. So Matt Pizza, I'll have what you're having, man.
Listen, this is probably my only hot take of the pregame show. All right, I guess we'll see, we'll see.
We'll
But
see. All right then, and then with that, we will look at the last series of this week and our stream match of this, the stream match of the week as well. That is VBU Krypton versus Flippa United. So it's looking a little the same. Matt Pizza, you're 2-1 on VBU. Clutch and I are on the Flippa side of things. So we'll start with you again, Matt Pizza. 2-1 VBU. VBU, I do think, is coming in with their full roster, with Act Below,
Correct.
Allfire, Chitin. Actually, I don't know if Toxin is playing this week. I think he is.
He is.
I
Okay.
think it is, yeah.
It's full roster.
Okay, Toxin and Islamic Samurai. So, Matt Pizza, with this information, 2-1 VBU.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason I said 2-1 VBU is because VBU always lose a game. It's like we've seen this happen. They all like always have to lose a game, and it's just in the VBU blood, I guess. Now the reason why I said VBU is gonna win over Flippa is that I think looking at the players, we have Toxin Islamic in the bot side, right? Now Islamic, he is a all-star support, and as such, people think he's a pretty good support, right? And Toxin Islamic going against Riv and Spheric. Now, I'm gonna say that bot lane matchup is probably gonna be Riv and Spheric favored. Like, I do think that, like from what we've seen, Caitlyn Morgana, the freaking most abusive lane, and they just played so perfectly. And it's gonna be Flippa favorite. I won't lie to. But I'm gonna go to the mid lane matchup. The
It's gonna
mid.
be Flippa favorite, votes VBU. Okay, good prediction.
Listen, no, that's it's only the bot lane, all right. You know how much
Okay,
ADC
okay.
matters in this season, man. ADCs just get
Whoa.
one shot.
Whoa.
They
That's
have no
every
use.
season, hello.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
ADCs in this game are just meant to be one shot. They're not really meant to do things. But we'll go mid. Kaiten, right? We've seen Kaiten just absolutely pop off in the previous games, and I think like even if he does get neutralized, right? Even if he's like going even against Flipper's mid laner, in the team fight scenarios where you have Akbalo shot calling, making the plays, setting up his team, right? He's gonna find the engages onto the backline, onto Riv, onto Spheric to just get them out of the game, and Kaiden is gonna be there to clean the fight up, right? Whether he's gonna be playing like his Yone, Kale, or like some other like carry type mid, right? Even if it's even, that's enough for VBU to come up and roll over the game. They just need to engage. They need Akpo to just set up the team fights perfectly so that the rest of his team can succeed. And honestly, I think they have the tools for that. And I think that's my whole entire reason why I think VBU is gonna win.
Sounds like you're putting them on like a really thin margin here. Like they need to do like exactly this, exactly that. Like I get where
You
you're
know,
coming from though, Matt Pizza.
yeah,
Like I do
like
understand where you're coming from in the sense that you know we've seen a lot of like the good setup that VBU like you've talked about like with VBU and like we've seen. I mean, I've seen some pretty nasty like all fire playing Diana. He goes in, knocks up like pulls in like at least 3 people. It's kind of nasty. Hate playing against Diana. When Diana Jungle was really strong again, I just started banning her in solo queue because how annoying it
mhm.
was. But I understand where you're coming from. Like we've seen a lot of good setup. I think that even in the bot lane, like you said, Islamic Samurai, we know that this guy has experience playing in plat. We know that like everyone thinks I don't look at the community streams. I look. I look at the community streams. I don't okay, maybe I don't watch all of it, but I do like tune in. I do know who is the main shot caller for most of these teams. And I think Islamic Samurai is one of the best shot callers, at least for VBU. The information this guy puts out, it's like, I don't even say this kind of stuff and I don't even think about like half of the things he says. So there's a lot of, I think, moving parts to VBU's kind of strategy. But like you said, Matt Pizza, it really, really depends if they can get the right pieces to fit in, get everything like in the right spots at the right times. So it's a little fragile that I'm seeing, but 2-1 VBU. I respect it. That's all I'll say about your prediction.
Yeah.
So then, Clutch, you said you're on the other side of the spectrum here. You said 2-0 for Flippa United.
Yeah. So both these teams, because Darkfire is playing jungle today, not Ominous. Both these teams, both these junglers are extremely early game focused. They like to make things happen and they like to skirmish. Both of these teams really are aggressive teams. They will fight you over anything. They will skirmish. They'll both opt into it. They love doing that. That's both their play styles. And the reason why I did say 2-0 is because both these teams are good enough that if they get a lead, they're just going to run away with the game. Like, good luck. Good luck coming back. Because both these teams are so good that they will just slam over the other team. When I say like this series is close, I mean like, yes, it's a close series. But these teams are just so high level that you give them an inch, they're going to go take a mile. And I think both these teams excel at that. Now, the reason why I said Flippa is because Flippa, I think, is coming in with a little bit more momentum than VBU. They've had a really good end of the season. They've looked pretty solid. I will say that I think it's going to be a 2-0 for either of these teams. Either VBU is going to 2-0 or Flippa is going to 2-0 because I just think that these teams are just so good at closing out games. And, I don't think both of these teams can go to a third. I don't think they can go the distance for reasons I shall not state. But I think they are both very, very good. We'll see what's going to happen. I said flip a 2-0. I think they've looked a little bit more consistent lately. They've had a lot of momentum coming in, but I wouldn't be surprised if EBU wins. Like you said, Akbalo, huge shot caller for the team, looks for these engages onto the back line. I'm going to be looking for that. Obviously, I guess this is kind of leaks, but I'm color casting tonight. Won't
Leaks.
be Paka. He's not going to be able to be here. It'll be me and Colonel. So I'll be able to, look at the game, analyze some stuff going on. I think Akbalo is a, good player. Looks for these engages, like Matt Pizza said, onto that back line. Going to be very, very crucial in VBU possibly winning. And for the side of Flippa, it's all about their bot lane. It's about Spheric and Rib. They've looked very solid this entire split. They have just been dominating these bot lanes. So it's going to come down to that basically for both these teams. And I think that it should be an amazing series. I can't wait to watch. I get to cast it, which makes it even cooler. So I'm
True.
pretty hyped.
Yeah, and like you said, Clutch, I'm really in that same vein of thought where it's like Flippa and VBU are both the kinds of teams that know how to put themselves ahead. They know how to find those kind of leads. We saw that especially last week, Flippa versus BDE. They get like one tiny lead, and the next thing you know, they're like up 6K by like 15 minutes. And it's like Flippa really, really knows how to put themselves ahead, which I've seen over and over again. So then my issue becomes with like what Matt Pizza was talking about for VBU's way of finding success is that like I'm kind of drawing back onto last week's series with Flippa BDE, but it's like I'm just seeing Flippa being able to find one small thing that just snowballs the whole game for them. And if VBU, like Matt Pizza said before, if they need these exact pieces, they need like this and this and this, so like, and they need the stars to align, they need the sun to be at like a 74-degree like angle,
Yeah.
like you
Aquilow's got the protractor out. He's finding
yeah,
the angles.
exactly. Like I'm not saying that VBU is, not flexible, but it's like it really depends on how Flippa is able to like pull these leads. And I've seen them do it again over and over so consistently. And we've talked about the bot lanes, like Toxin Islamic Samurai versus Riv 60 and Spheric. It's like I feel like they need to do more than just neutralize the other. They need to put them behind. Like for these two bot lanes, you need to put either Toxin Islamic behind or you have to put Riv 60 and Spheric behind to like have a chance at winning. So it really depends, like you said, on how these two bot lanes play, on how like the rest of the teams play. Like there is a lot on the line, except I do think it's a bit closer than 2-0. I'm kind of in that same like I'm kind of like my opinion's a bit mixed between you and Matt Pizza. Like I think that it's gonna be a 3-game series. There's gonna be like one game where one team just gets ahead and the other two where they just get ahead, or it just could be like they're fighting so closely that it's like it just becomes a full 3-game series. But again, this is our stream match of the week, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm in town. I made all of the graphics like last week, so if something's wrong, my bad. I didn't really have any time to check them over. But I think that's kind of all the time we have today. So sorry, there wasn't too much. I wanted to do a bit more for the playoff series. Like, I was thinking maybe I make a little bit of a hype video, but I had to like spend half an hour just making like speed running the All-Stars graphic. So again, thank you guys for showing up. And, if you guys are playing tonight, good luck. You're in playoffs. It's winners round 1. So remember that if you lose, you're going to go into the losers bracket. So, you either go against Monkeys Rising or Hawkthorn Esports. But, again, it's exciting. We're in playoffs. Like, this is what your whole season has led to. So, thank you guys all for tuning in. Hopefully, we'll see you guys 8 p.m. Eastern. VBU Krypton versus Flippa United. It's going to be a banger series. It's gonna be nice. I think next week I'll have analyst prediction. The analyst stats. I don't actually think I'm this true. I don't think I'm the smartest analyst, but that's that. So good luck to you guys, and thank you for watching. Hopefully we'll see you guys 8 p.m. Eastern.